Okay, I'm back with the next tutorial on writing a cook-torrance Unity shader. Um, so now that we're done with the Beckman shader, we're going to just rename this and save it as the GGX shader. And the reason why we're doing that is because it would not, because it would be wasting time to rewrite some of this stuff over again, because we're going to be keeping the Fresnel equation. So back at the top, we'll change back to GGX, and then we'll save it as at the edit G shader. Overwrite the file, and now that we've done that, it's time to change some stuff so we can make it a GGX shader. So the two things that we're going to do is we're going to remove the Beckman distribution function, and we're going to remove the cook-torrance geometric attenuation function. The GGX function is going to go where the Beckman distribution function was at. So we'll delete that. And now we're going to go and put in the GGX distribution function. The GGX distribution function was in the Trowbridge-Reitz paper. So we'll call it the Trowbridge-Reitz GGX distribution function. So Trowbridge-Reitz. I was calling it Tory. Not sure why. Trowbridge-Reitz GGX distribution function, and the function is, we're going to start with like how we did before. So we're going to do half is equal to roughness squared. So it's going to be we'll just call it rough squared. That's going to be equal to shininess something is not right here. Shininess times shininess and then half denom for denominator. That's what I call it. And we're going to do it should be just equal to n dot h squared, and I think it's n dot h squared times times roughness squared I think it's roughness squared minus 1. Let me look at that again. Yes, roughness squared minus 1 plus 1, 1.0. I'm not sure if we should put the parenthesis around these two or not. I don't know about that yet. I don't have it in my original equation, but it could maybe, if we have some hotness problems, on some of the grazing angles, maybe putting parentheses around it will fix it. I'm not exactly sure yet. We'll see if that does anything when it's time to test the shader. So I'm guessing that the next one is going to be half num for numerator, or we'll just call it numer. I don't want it to be mistaken for number. So it's okay. So it's going to be roughness squared, or rough squared, and now it's time for us to create another variable up here. So I think I want to go float pi is equal to 3.14 what is it, 3.14159 f for floating point. If that f gives you an error, just remove it. So back down here to the GGX distribution function, it should be rough divided by pi, roughness squared divided by pi, or rough squared but first it's squared, and then it's going to be pi times it's rough squared divided by pi times denominator times denominator. And if you want to, you could calculation, because we're only doing that once. After that, it's close parentheses around everything, and then multiply that by a texture alpha, copy and paste, and we can remove it from down here if we don't need it in this background reflection, if we're going to put it up here, as long as it's a single specular highlight. If it's still specular highlight, it would make sense to actually put it down there, depending on what effect you want to going for. So that should be all you need for a GGX distribution function. So now we're going to remove the cook-torrance geometric attenuation function, because it doesn't seem to play well with the GGX distribution function, so we're going to use another one. And this one is let's see, not sure how to pronounce this name, so I think I'm just going to try Cleveland and Kalos attenuation, geometric attenuation function, and it is simply just have we're going to call this one G is equal to N dot L times N dot B divided by V dot H squared, and I multiply it by itself instead of creating another variable up here. We probably don't necessarily need this one anymore. I mean, it depends on what you want to do. You can create a v.8 squared up here. You could create a denominator squared over here. Really, it depends on, like, if you think it'll speed things up. So I think that should be it. That's it. That's a very small geometric attenuation function. It's just one line. So, let's just hit save and see what happens. And remember, you're saving this as the edit GD shader. So that's why I'm hitting save as, just to make sure that I'm not accidentally overwriting the Beckman shader. So now we are going to change it over to the GGX shader, and there's an error in here somewhere. And it looks like the error was at the function D. Maybe I've done something. This rename numer as, rename that to D. I'm not exactly sure why I had numerator and denominator. Maybe I was thinking that there was another line of code, or I just maybe used some very strange naming conventions in my previous shader. Okay, so now it should be working. So let's start adjusting the roughness. You probably can really tell the difference between Beckman and GGX when we go to really low amounts of roughness. The highlights look quite a bit different. They're more spread out. They have a longer tail. So the GGX shader has a greater fall off than the Beckman shader. The Beckman shader actually kind of models Billin to some degree. And this was, I guess, a chrome ball that they shined the light on. And this was the actual reflection. And so the GGX models it better, but as you can see on this chrome ball, the fall off is actually, it goes really far out, and it's not a linear fall off. It's the fall off kind of looks a little bit like Beckman, and then it's really hazy more than the GGX as we kind of go away from the highest intensity of light, or the light was shining. And you may also notice that the actual reflection is kind of star shaped. And also the reflection is reddish colored compared to GGX. There's a reddish hue here and then kind of a bluish here around there. That probably has something to do with kind of the light scattering during the reflection. This is something that metal does, and so that's this is an effect that I don't think that there's any way of faking right now, because I'm pretty sure they shined a white light on here and got a reflection that had a reddish hue around the center of the reflection, and then further out was kind of blue. But that's kind of a side note on actual reflections. As we increase the roughness, it kind of looks like Beckman, kind of not like Beckman. But this one looks like it blows out quicker. So I'm actually going to change the range of roughness values, like we did for the Beckman shader. And you may want to, with every single shader that you make, you might want to always go in and change the ranges to better fit your scene. It's still kind of blows out, but not as bad. Maybe this would work if, like, let's say you were under an ultra strong bright light. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom of this shader, and I'm going to change this to a +4, which should make it a little bit brighter. I don't really like the way this ramp is quite affecting things. He's kind of getting kind of blown out, and I think that might be because I did a multiplication. I mean, I'm adding the Mad Cat ramp, which is making it brighter, but I did something else in my final shader. I think it might be better if we address it at the very end of this tutorial, because I think that the Mad Cat range, I'm going to use a number, and we're going to go back and just try and make things consistent between shaders. I want to say that GGX might be a little bit better for skin than Beckman. Beckman might be more for things that are kind of a dull metal, kind of like aluminum foil. So in the next tutorial, we're going to go back to one of our Bill and Fong shaders. We're going to go back to the one that we saved as Bill and Fong, and we're going to modify that one. And so what we're going to do for that one is we're not going to exactly make it a cook-torrance shader. We're actually going to make it a retro reflection shader, and it's going to be a dual specular shader, so that we'll have retro reflection, and then we're also going to have a separate highlight on top of it. So it's going to basically look like retro reflective tape that is shiny on top.